Hey guys, my name is Nick and welcome back to the channel, and another month has flown past. We are now entering August, so it's time to catch up on what I managed to get done in July. And yeah, the heat wave in the UK continues, which means painting has kind of stalled a little bit once again. A little bit disappointing, but we have been enjoying a really good heat wave in the UK. It's kind of one of those things where, yep, it's really good, kills your garden, but the UK just isn't equipped for extremes of temperature. We don't have lovely air-conditioned houses, and all our houses are more equipped for insulation, which means we just get very hot. So yeah, it's been, I think, record-breaking temperatures. We've had a little bit of break in the weather in the last couple of days, which has been nice. And so I have managed to get some stuff built and painted. So let's have a quick look at what we've managed to do. Now, videos have been a little bit light because of roadworks in my road, which has caused a lot of noise. In fact, my neighbours are having their driveway done right now. So I'm recording this in between the pneumatic diggers going off. So it's been a little bit difficult to try and record without any sort of serious background noise. So in July though, we have managed to prime and fully complete all of the build of the Warlord Titan. So I did drop a couple of videos, one a little bit tongue-in-cheek, I know, it was a funny one to make, of how I've prepared the Warlord for priming. So lots of toothbrush, lots of washing up liquid, lots of scrubbing going on. If you haven't managed to catch that video, I'll put a link in the description below and a little card up in the corner for you to click on and go and see how I didn't really prepare my Warlord Titan, and then the net result. So it looks so much better now that it's got a black prime on it, and as you see in another one of my videos, this thing took 5 cans of spray to do. Now I use High Coat rather than Games Workshop spray. I think it's almost identical, if not identical, but other than that, it's about a quarter of the price. So I've been using High Coat for a number of years now. I use it for all my terrain, I use it for all my miniatures now, so there's no harm in using it on small stuff and big stuff, which means that it's really good value for priming all of your miniatures. It's about £3 a can when you buy it in bulk, and I buy it from Amazon in about 12 cans a go, which might be a bit excessive, but £36 including delivery for 12 cans of prime, which you're never going to run out of. Well, you are going to run out of, you're never going to not need it. Let's put it that way. Now, what I have managed to do with regards to painting is finally finish one of my new Armiger Helverins. So that's the guy with the double-barreled autocannons, which are really cool. So I've managed to do that, and I've managed to mostly build a Dominus Valiant, and get some paint down on him. So he's kind of bubbling away in the background. In fact, let me just grab him now so you can see the current state. So this is the current state of him. This isn't attached, obviously, so I can get to all the detail and so on. But the skeleton part is pretty much done. That is just requiring some gold trim to be done on him, all the pistons, but all the metallic work has pretty much been done. So he's ticking along quite nicely. All the other armour panels as well have mostly been done. So we can see here, let me just grab one of those. So you can see there, so one of the armour panels is pretty much there. The gold work is pretty much complete on those armour panels. So that's coming along. The second Armiger Helverin in that unit is also kind of in a similar kind of position. So I batch painted all of the armour panels together, along with the Dominus and the one that I've managed to finish. Now the reason I managed to finish one is I was trying to get a Knight Army up to 2,000 points so I could actually get some games going. So the big thing this month is actually getting some games in. So I finally got 3 combat patrols, which are 500 points, and specific to a Warhammer World event coming up in September. So there's a couple of games of combat patrol that are involved in that, and what I'll do is I'll put the specific detachment that you use for that on the screen in a second for you. And there we go, that is it on screen now. So you can see there's some limitations here. It's all optional choices, but you are limited. No relics, no funkiness with any command points and so on, unless your character can command point farm. So it is quite limited, nothing more than 10 wounds, which does make you really, really think about the formation of the 500 points. Now, one thing for players to note on this 500 points is this isn't a tournament, so you're not trying to get, you know, the maximum out of your 500 points that's going to be super killy effective. It is supposed to be a themed combat patrol, so you're talking assassins or pickets or outriders or a vanguard of your force, that kind of thing. You're not trying to sit there and see if you can get as many models as you possibly can and just try and win the war of attrition in 500 points by ensuring you've got more bodies than they have guns. So very important for theme when it comes to a narrative event. Now, I've gone through 2 different iterations of my combat patrol so far, and neither have been particularly good. So my 500 points so far has been the Fate Skimmer from the Demon Codex with 2 units of Screamers. Now, that does no shooting apart from a very powerful smite stick from the Fate Skimmer. And the guys have all got a couple of wounds each, and they're really, really quick. So they do form a very, very good sort of narrative themed force. So they're all Screamers because the Herald on his Fate Skimmer is being pulled by his Screamers. But effectiveness-wise, yeah, not so good. So, I mean, the total is about 29 wounds because they're double wounded, or they're 8 wounds on the Skimmer. And they've just been shot off the board so far, or just battered by sheer weight of numbers in the playtesting games I've done. They've not been super effective. So I then thought about a change and tried to drop in a bunch of horrors just to see what would happen there. So I rebuilt the list, and it was a Walking Herald, so a Fate Weaver, 30 pink horrors, and 5 Screamers, and then 10 Brimstone horrors just to sort of hold any objectives, because we don't know what the mission's going to be. Equally, not been that effective in the 2 games that I've played. I've played against a combat force and I've played against a shooty force, and they've just not done it either. So Tzeentch Demons, even with that super powerful 4+ invulnerable save, is still a 50-50 roll, and a sheer weight of dice will pull them apart. And yeah, I mean, as much as I want it to be themed, I also don't want to be tabled within 2 turns, and that's been the case for a couple of games really. It's just not gone very well. So I'm having a serious rethink about my force, but still trying to make sure that it is themed. Now, I have a Chaos ticket, so I am limited to Chaos and Demons, and my new force is a little bit more balanced, I'd say. It's got a bit more shooting in it, it's got a bit more combat in it, so it should do a little bit better, but still maintaining that theme of a picket force patrolling, you know, say a Chaos outpost or bastion, something like that. So it still fits that kind of idea. So enough about combat patrol. I have also had a couple of big games against Idic Beer this month, and those battle reports are actually going to drop in August, because we are now in August. So that was a whole day's worth of gaming as well. So we played a 1750 point game, so I got to trial my 1750 point aspect of this Warhammer campaign, the Dark Zones campaign. Again, it was my Tzeentch Demons force, and again, yeah, not so good. I mean, the theme I've gone with was more magic than shooting, and an 8th edition does seem to favour a bit more shooting than it does in combat, and it does really reflect the board setup. But my 1750, which was Magnus and a whole bunch of lesser demons, really, with a Demon Prince in there, I think, just to give me the extra HQ. And then most of my 500 point force was also in there to save me painting any extras. And again, a couple of games in, and I'm not convinced it's going to do so well. If it was a Cornate force, then I'd probably have a bit more faith in it. Even though you've got a lesser invulnerable save, you are far more effective in combat. Sort of Tzeentch Demons are a jack of all and master of none. So they kick out some magic, but it's just not effective in the psychic phase enough for me to be able to swing a game and at least make a game of it. You know, whether I win, lose or draw doesn't really bother me. What does bother me is making it to at least turn 4, turn 5 and having a good game. And that's what I'm aiming for, and therefore I'm having to redo that list as well. So I've identified and worked on a new list. Again, it's a bit of a mix and match. I'm going to be throwing in some Thousand Suns units. I'm dropping Magnus. I'm taking more Sorcerers. I'm taking some Zangors. I'm not going to spam Zangors. I am taking some. So furiously on my desk now is some Zangors. So let's grab one here. So on my lovely Games Workshop butt plug, here is sort of the first phase of painting some Zangors. So I've got some more on the go there. I think the army is going to include 20 of them, and also to give them a little bit of a kick, I'm also including, which arrived yesterday and not fully painted yet, is one of these, which is the Mutalith Vortex Beast. Now, a completely random unit that's managed to made its way over from Age of Sigmar into the Thousand Suns forces. He does offer some particular buffs to those Zangor models, including if you get the power off, because it is a little bit unreliable. He is a bit crazy. Includes +1 to the advance and +1 to charge. So combining that with a few sneaky relics, such as the Dark Crystal, which allows you basically to move a unit once per game from anywhere on the board to 9 inches away from the enemy. So there could be some sneaky shenanigans going on with that combination. So my new force does require quite a bit of painting. Fortunately, I've got sort of a month and a half to get that done. I am taking a large demon element, which is going to be based around flamers. So I'm going to be taking flamers and exalted flamers and a herald to give those a little bit of a strength buff. And that's going to be one detachment, and then the other detachment is going to be Thousand Suns. So it's going to include Rubric Marines, those sorcerers I've already mentioned, some Zangors, some Enlightened, the Mutalith, and my Forge Fiend that I painted a couple of months ago. So I've still got some infantry to do, and that's going to be my focus in August, is to try and get as much of that done as possible. One of the videos I did do in July was to look at the Start Collecting box sets. So Start Collecting is super popular. Just speak to the guys over at the Floorhammer Podcast. I'll leave a link in the description below there for those guys. They are huge advocates of Start Collecting. And we've had conversations about that, on how to get new guys into the game, or how to expand your existing forces. So one of the things I wanted to look at was how valuable really are they? And I did a whole bunch of calculations. It took me about 6 or 7 hours to create this video. And it's been quite popular. It's had sort of a good number of views on it so far, and some good interaction, which is great to see. And it surprised me how variable the savings are. I think the low end, you're saving about 46% on retail, and at the higher end, just around the 60% mark. So there is a good savings to be had, but what's in those box sets is what justifies the saving. So some of them are pretty poor, some of them are better than others. So for example, I think my top 3 included the Deathwatch, the Tau, and the Skitarii, whereas realistically the bottom ones are the Tyranids and, off the top of my head, the Drukhari, and Slaanesh as well. Slaanesh demons are pretty poor. So could I be having a look at what I think should be included in a Start Collecting set, because the clue's in the title, Start Collecting. Now, anyone who goes back a number of years in this hobby, Start Collecting always meant an HQ and 2 troops. Now that has changed a little bit in 8th edition, because your detachments now is what determines your command points. A lot of people are looking to fill at least a single battalion in every list to get those 5 command points you get from that, plus 3 from being Battleforged. So most people's starting point is always going to be trying to get 8 command points. And if you're going to be pushing that into a Start Collecting set, you need to be able to fulfill that battalion. So I'm going to have a look at what I think is going to be the future of that, and that's going to be in a forthcoming video. So in summary then, for July, I've completed one model, that Armiger, but it has been a bit of a game fest. So plenty of gaming going on, which has allowed me to sort of revise my lists, have a serious think about what's going to make it through a game that's going to give the opponent a good game and give me a good game and good value for my money. So it's been a lot of maths, a lot of calculations going on, and that's been the focus of the last sort of couple of weeks. But that's pretty much July wrapped up then, and I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below how you've got on in your July. How much hobby progress have you done? Have you got any good games in? Anything you want to share, please feel free to write that in the comment section below. But if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as leave some comments down on your hobby progress for July. And I shall catch you guys on the next video.